Good morning, everyone. I, Dr. Raman Singh Pathania, Junior Resident, Third Year, Psychiatry Department, Subharti Medical College, will be talking on Sigmund Freud and Neo-Freudian, my today's topic. Key content of the talk will be Sigmund Freud, psychoanalysis, the beginning, interpretation of dreams, topographical model, structural model, instinct or drive theory, psychosexual stages, defense mechanisms, and Neo-Freudians. To start with Sigmund Freud, his date of birth is May 6, 1856 in Freiburg town, Czech Republic. He did his graduation from University of Vienna, that is Austria. He was a neurologist by profession. Later focused his concentration in hysteria and so-called neurotic illnesses. He did his training under prominent neurologist Charcot. During the fellowship, became interested in hypnosis and neurosis, was well known for his smoking habit. He was considered as a father of psychoanalysis. Freud believed that childhood experiences were very important in adult life and psychopathology. Psychoanalysis is both an investigation and therapeutic tool. Initially, Freud used cathartic or purifying method using abreaction for his psychoanalysis. Abreaction is a process by which suppressed feelings are identified and verbalized, leading to symptom resolution. Freud soon understood that this cathartic method had many flaws, as patient may use repression to exhibit resistance, and this will prevent healing process. So later he shifted to free association, a technique in which patient is encouraged to speak freely and without any censorship. Freud considered free association as a fundamental rule of psychoanalysis. During his free association, client is encouraged to relate and communicate whatever that comes into their mind. Neither the therapist nor the client has an idea where the conversation will end up, hence the name free association. He used couch in free association because Freud observed that while lying on couch, it makes patient more relaxed and patient communicates well. Then on next we will be talking about Interpretation of Dreams, an influential book by Freud in which he stressed the importance of dreams, described dreams as a royal road to understand the unconsciousness. He described dreams in two layers, latent dreams and manifest dreams. Latent dreams include unconscious thoughts and feelings. Manifest dreams include what is recalled by the dreamer. Considered dream as a brief nightly psychosis, he believed that content of dream can be used to understand patient's unconscious conflict and wishes. Some important terms used in our dream work is the process by which latent dream is converted into manifest dream, and condensation is the process by which several ideas are combined to form a single image in the manifest dream. What, and then we will be talking about symbolic representation is the process by which unacceptable ideas are symbolically represented as other acceptable symbols, like sex may be symbolized as snake in dreams. Daydream is the day before dream during which material for dreams are gathered. Dream series refers to series of similar dreams and they need to be analyzed together. Next, we will be talking about topographical model. Sigmund Freud divided mind into three distinct parts of conscious, preconscious, unconscious. Conscious is the part of mind in which perception from inside and outside the body are in awareness. Preconscious is the part of mind that lies somewhere between conscious and unconscious. In preconscious, by focusing the attention, the content can be brought into conscious awareness. Like example, would be recollecting name of our primary school teacher. This can be done with some voluntary efforts. Preconscious uses the primary defense mechanism of repression to keep unpleasant events down in unconscious. Preconscious acts as a sensor or a watchman which prevents unpleasant events from entering our conscious. Unconscious is the deepest part in the topographical model, uses the primary defense mechanism of repression to store unpleasant events. According to Freud, it is when repressed material go up and puncture the conscious that neurotic symptoms are produced. Later, Freud identified flaws with topographical model and described the next structural model of the mind, which consists of id, ego, and superego. Id refers to the reservoir of instincts operating under primary process thinking and pleasure principle lacking any direct link with reality. Id lies entirely in the unconsciousness. The only urge of these drive is immediate gratification. It is theorized to be original state of human mental apparatus with which a newborn baby is born. Next is ego. Ego is the executive component of the structural model of the mind. It tries to bring an agreement between id and superego based on realistic thinking. The ego is primarily determined by the experience of reality and is therefore guided by the reality principle. Ego has component in all three topographical regions of CPU, that is conscious, preconscious, and unconscious mind. Defense mechanisms are considered part of ego. Superego is based on moral values, can be considered the conscience of every human being. Next, we will be talking about instinct or drive theories. Freud, in his book Beyond the Pleasure Principle, described the instinct of Eros and Thanos. Eros is the life instinct or sexual instinct which deal with existence, pleasure, and reproduction. Freud used the term sex in a broader sense, including other basic needs like hunger and shelter. Thanos is the death instinct. Freud believed the aim of life is death. He proposed that all have an instinct to die, and this Thanos is balanced by the life instinct of Eros. According to Freud, self-destructive behavior is manifestation of Thanos. When Thanos is directed towards others, aggression can occur. Our next topic is psychosexual stages. Freud proposed 5 stages of psychosexual development. Each stage has a specific focus for pleasure and an erogenous zone. Fixation and failure to through next stage can result in psychopathology. Psychosexual stages. There are 5 stages. Stage 1 lasts from the first day of birth till 18 months of age, that is oral phase. Second is 18 months of age till 3 years, that is anal phase. Third is from 3 years to 5 years, that is phallic stage. Fourth is 5 years to 13 years, that is latency stage. And then fifth is 13 years plus, that is genital stage. In first stage, mouth is pleasure focus. Like for example, pleasure is obtained by breastfeeding and from oral exploration of environment by keeping things in mouth. Fixation in oral stage can end up in addiction like smoking. Hence, by applying his own theory, Freud was himself fixed at oral stage. In second stage, erogenous stage shift from mouth to anus. Freud believed fixation at this stage can cause OCD. In third stage, that is phallic stage, genitals become a focus of pleasure. Children become aware of their own and others' body, start understanding difference between men and women. Oedipus complex and castration anxiety may occur in male in this stage, and Electra complex and penis envy may ensue in females. Oedipus complex is the psychological term used to denote the son-father competition for mother, and Electra is used to denote daughter-mother competition for father. In the fourth stage, latency stage, the child usually prefers to be in company of own gender, friends, and hate the opposite gender. The fifth stage, called the genital phase, extends from puberty through adulthood. Genitals become the erogenous zone, mature heterosexual interests develop, fixation can cause impotency. Next, we will be talking about defense mechanisms. Refer to any maneuver employed by the ego to protect itself against anxiety raised by intolerable impulses. Coping strategies which help us reduce anxiety. All defense mechanisms involve some degree of repression of unacceptable impulse into unconsciousness. Hence, repression is considered as a principal defense mechanism. Repression is important component of Freud's topographical model also. Unpleasant experiences are stored deep in the subconscious mind and can't be accessed by the conscious mind. For example, a child suffers abuse by a parent, represses the memories, and become completely unaware of them as a young adult. There is no consensus among exact number and formal classification of defense mechanisms, but George Valiant divided and described defense mechanism into four groups: mature, immature, neurotic, and narcissistic. Mature defense mechanisms include altruism, asceticism, anticipation, humor, sublimation, and suppression. Mature defense mechanisms are seen in mature and well-adjusted adults. To start with, altruism, it refers to usage of constructive and gratifying service to others. For example, missionaries and social workers who drive gratification by serving the needy and poor may use this defense mechanism. Asceticism includes eliminating pleasurable effects of experiences by assigning a moral value to it. Gratification is obtained by avoiding pleasure. For example, nuns and priests, they avoid many pleasurable activities and gaining gratification by avoiding the pleasure from the same may be an implying asceticism. Anticipation refers to realistically anticipate and planning for future inner discomfort. Like for example, a student accepting that exam was tough and preparing for the next attempt using anticipation without waiting for his results. Humor as a defense mechanism refers to the use of overt comedy to express unpleasant feelings and inner discomfort. Next, sublimation is channeling the discomfort into socially acceptable one. For example, like using a punching bag to express anger after getting fired from boss. Suppression is postponing of attention from discomfort. Discomfort is acknowledged and minimized. Example of suppression is what when we say what happened has happened, let us see it later. Next is immature defense mechanisms, which include acting out, passive aggression, regression, somatization, hypochondriasis. Immature defense mechanisms are used by adolescents and non-psychotic patients. Acting out, it involves dealing with stress by using actions rather than reflection and feelings. Defensive acting out is often associated with bad behaviors like antisocial behavior, bad conduct, when there are underlying emotional conflicts. Next is regression, going back to acting as a child, returning to a behavior pattern characteristic of earlier stage of development. Because of partial fixation in any of the psychosexual stages of development, regression can occur when an individual is faced with high levels of stress in their life. Passive aggression involves dealing with stress by indirectly, unassertively expressing aggression towards others. The person displays an outward superficial cooperativeness that masks the underlying resistance, resentment, and hostility. This defense may be adaptive in situations where direct and assertive communication is punished. For example, abusive relationship. Somatization, unconscious transformation of unacceptable feelings and emotions into physical symptoms. Neurotic defense mechanisms include repression, displacement, isolation, reaction formation, dissociation, all used by obsessive compulsive and hysterical patients. Now, to begin with displacement, uh, displacement is the shifting of intended targets, especially when the initial target is threatening. The classical use of displacement is in understanding of displaced aggression. An individual is dressed down by the superior at their job. They feel like anger and hostility toward their superior. Their id, driven by the aggressive impulses, would like to tear the boss head off. The ego, being reality based and very much in favor of continued paychecks, salary, realizes that this is not a good idea and therefore does not remove boss head. But as person goes back home, he still has this aggressive impulses in his mind, but the ego allows for the individual to scream at the spouse since he knew that this will not threaten his job. The spouse, now angry and upset, displays their anger on their children, who then becomes angry and kicks their pet dogs, a further displacement of anger. Next defense mechanism is reaction formation. Involves dealing with stress by substituting behavior, thought, or feelings that are exact opposite of one's own unacceptable thoughts or feelings. In short, reaction formation means expressing opposite of your inner feeling in your outward behavior. As for example, person who loves pornography leads a movement to outlaw its sale in the neighborhood. Second example, a woman who loves an unobtainable man and behaves as though she hates him. Dissociation involves dealing with the stress by breaking off part of memory, consciousness, or perception of self or the environment to avoid the problem situation. This defense mechanism is employed in dissociative and convergent disorders. Narcissistic defense mechanisms are denial, distortion, projection, used by psychotics and children. Denial as a defense mechanism: when people are overwhelmed by the anxiety present within a situation, they can engage in even more severe form of memory repression. In denial, the individual denies that the threatening event even took place. In war, for example, in war, a mother receives word that her son has been killed, but she refused to believe it and still setting the table for him, keeping his room and clothes arranged. At school, a student seeing a grade C next to their name automatically assumes that the professor made a grading error. Alcoholics and other substance abusers who refuse to admit they have a problem despite being very apparent to everyone around them. People engaging in denial can pay a high cost in terms of psychic energy, which is used to maintain the denial state. Excuse me. Projection involves dealing with stress by falsely attributing your own unacceptable feeling, impulses. Next in defense mechanism is projection. Projection involves dealing with stress by falsely attributing your own unacceptable feelings, impulses, or thought to another person. For example, let's say that you do not like someone. Your mother and father always told you to treat other people well and to be friendly to everyone. These thoughts from your parents become embedded in your superego. You discover that you do not like this person. If you allow this thought to consciously surface, you will experience more anxiety, moral anxiety in terms of guilt feelings, because this conscious thoughts goes against the moral prohibition of your superego. So instead of consciously thinking the anxiety provoking thought, I do not like this person, this defense mechanism allows for non anxiety provoking thought, like this person does not like me, excuse me. Now we will be talking about Neo-Freudians. Neo-Freudian refers to a group of psychologists, those who elaborated, modified, or revised the Freud's original concepts while maintaining at least some of his basic theories. Alfred Adler and Carl Jung are prominent early Neo-Freudians. Both reject Freud's overemphasis on infant sexuality. Rado, Horney, Selvin, and Eric Fromm are among other Neo-Freudians who gave more importance to social and cultural factors over sex. Alfred Adler, one of the Freud's original followers and a member of Psychological Wednesday Society. As such, the beliefs and values underlying Adler's theories share the same core principle as Freud's psychodynamic perspective. While Freud and Adler worked very closely together for a period of time, Adler began to challenge Freud's ideas with his own view about the role of individual's experience. Their, work, their working relationship eventually got disturbed and their theories moved in opposing directions. First, Freud reduced all motivations to sex and aggression, whereas Adler saw people as being motivated mostly by social influences and by their striving for superiority and success. Second, Freud assumed that people have little or no choice in shaping their personality. whereas Adler believed that people are largely responsible for who they are. Third, Freud's assumption was that present behavior is caused by past experiences and was directly opposed to Adler's notion that present behavior is shaped by people's view of the future. Fourth, in contrast to Freud, who placed very heavy emphasis on unconscious components of behavior, Adler believed that psychologically healthy people are usually aware of what they are doing and why they are doing it. When theoretical and personal differences between Adler and Freud emerged, Adler left the Freud circle and established an opposing theory, which became known as individual psychology. Next, we will be talking about Carl Jung. Carl Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist and influential thinker and the founder of analytical psychology. He talked about two processes that are important in learning. That first is how we take information, which was called perception, and second, what we do with the information once it is in our brain, that's called judgment. He described learning styles and three main dimensions, that is extrovert, introvert, sensation, intuition, thinking and feeling. Extrovert learning style, extrovert learner, they enjoy generating energy and ideas from other people. They prefer socializing and working in groups. Their chief characteristics are they enjoy working with others in groups, often gathers ideas from outside sources, willing to lead, participate and offer opinions, jump right in without guidance from others. Introvert learning style, while introverted learners are still sociable, they prefer to solve problems on their own. Their characteristics are they prefer to work alone, enjoys quiet, solitary work, often generate idea from internal sources, prefer to listen, watch and reflect, likes to observe other before attempting a new skill. Both attitudes are present. Extrovert and introvert are present in every person in different degrees. No one is pure extrovert or pure introvert. Sensing learning style. Jung's sensation function translates signal from the senses into factual data. There is no judgment of right or wrong, good or bad, implications, causes, directions, context, possibilities, themes, or related concepts. Sensation sees what is as what it is. Sensation is opposite of intuition. What are the characteristics of this? Uh, sensing, sensation learning, these people they focus on present, practical and they are reasonable, utilizes experiences and common sense to solve problems, keenly observe the surrounding world. Intuitive learning, these learners they tend to focus more on world of possibility. They enjoy considering ideas, possibilities and potential outcomes. These characteristics are they prefer to work in short sessions rather than finishing task at all, enjoy new challenges, experiences, and situations, more likely to look at a big picture rather than details, like theories and abstract ideas. Thinking learning style. Individuals with a thinking learning style tend to focus more on structure and function of information and objects. Their characteristics are these learners they are interested in logic and patterns, dislike basing decisions on emotions, basis decisions on reason and logics. Feeling learning style. People with feeling style manage information based on the initial emotions, feelings it generates. It is a rational process of forming personal subjective opinion about whether something is good or bad, right or wrong, acceptable or unacceptable. Characteristics of this feeling learning style is interested in people and their feelings, base decisions on immediate feelings, generate excitement and enthusiasm in group setting. Next, we will be talking about Horney's Neo-Freudian perspective. Karen Horney was one of the earliest psychologists to champion women's issues and is sometimes called the first feminist psychologist. Horney suggests that personality develops in the context of social relationship and depends particularly on relationship between parents and child and how well the child needs are met. She rejected Freud's suggestion that women have penis envy. She asserted that what women envy most in men is not their anatomy, but the independence, success, and freedom women often are denied. Horney was also one of the first to stress the importance of cultural factors in determination of personality. For example, she suggested that society's rigid gender role for women led them to experience ambivalence about success because they fear they will make enemies if they are too successful. Her conceptualization, developed in 1930s and 1940s, laid the groundwork of many of the central ideas of feminism that emerged decades later. These are the references. Thank you. Have a nice day.